Welcome into Midnight Movie Talk here on this Wednesday, Rare Wednesday. Listen, we're in the middle of August. Let me remind you where we are. I was literally just like, let's show the calendar to remind everybody that we are in the middle of August. It is the 17th of August. Now, why am I highlighting that right now as we get ready to talk about Beast? Because I've told you guys, it's the inception of Midnight Movie Talk. Mid-August, all of August, is where the studios dump films that they know are not going to be huge hits. Now, there are a few exceptions, such as Free Guy, such as Guardians of the Galaxy, but even in those cases, I would argue the studios didn't know for sure if those were going to be hits. Like Free Guy was a surprise hit. It's because the movie's amazingly good and super entertaining. But Guardians of the Galaxy was even before, right, in the MCU took off, and it's the quality again of the film. So those are two aberrations when we talk about August, because tonight we have Beast, and it's just flat out boring. I mean, it's just a film that you have seen if you watch the trailer. I mean, ultimately, this is a film that is Idris Elba and his two daughters as they are on safari with their buddy Sharlto Copley, right, from District 9. It's been forever since we've seen this guy. I mean, the last time I saw him was Elysium. Was he in Chappie? Was that? I mean, he's been forever since we've seen him. This is the problem with the film. It's a one-note film. It is Idris and his daughters and partially Sharlto battling the lion. That's it. That's the film. Okay. So when you watch the trailer, you've seen it. As we see the trailer here on the side, I mean, it's this film that makes me kind of crazy when we see a trailer and you should see the whole film. And then you go to see the film and it's validated that Universal has just given you the entire film. There's nothing here that's exciting, that's interesting. It's just a very flat mid-August movie. And listen, I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be decent. One of the problems with Beast is very simply this. You have a director here who wanted to go style, okay, and he's done other films before that are action films. I go back to Everest, which actually I didn't hate. But what you notice when you watch Beast is a director who is over directing. So what you're seeing is, let's do a one take, a oneer. It looks like, almost a seamless thing throughout the whole movie. Obviously, it's not shot in real time like 1970, but every single scene, bar a few very very small amount of scenes that are one take ish looking things, right? So it's like, let's get started here. You're going to walk from the car, you're going to go into the house, you're going to do your thing, then you're going to come back out. And of course there's always a spot where you can edit. So like there's a wall as we move the camera by, and then we can do it, pick it up there, then we go out to the car, the door closes, we pick it up there. Here's the problem with that. It's fine once in a while, but when you constantly go back to that, it's the one trick pony that gets old, and it also detracts from the film because you start to go, oh, here we go. This is another one of these faux oneers that looks like one long take, but I'm going to watch for the edits. And I know, did you do that during 1917? Because I know I did. I did that during 1917. I did it when, what was the house? Not Safe House. What was the name of the house movie with Olsen in it, where it was supposedly one take? Throughout it, I was looking for the edit points, right? Where was that moment where you could veer off? There's a Janet Jackson video back in the 90s that did the same thing. It looked like it was, maybe it was the late 80s, one take. So that's a problem because it turns into something that detracts from the film, okay? But ultimately, it's Idris Elba and his two daughters in situations and doing things that make you go, no one would act that way. No one would say that line at this point. Okay. That's where you really start to lose it. When characters do things that are totally implausible, you start to go, you chuckle, you laugh, and then you completely are removed from the film. And that's the issue here with Beast, is that it is just a film that you can never get fully engaged in because you know what's going to happen at the end. Okay, I'm not going to tell you because I told you when we talk about films that we don't do spoilers, but I bet you can guess exactly how it ends and who survives and who doesn't. You could guess in the comments here. Maybe I'll star the comments that you guys guess right who survives and who doesn't. But ultimately, it goes back to we are in mid-August. As I pull up the calendar to remind you one more time that we are in August, and the studios are not going to give you good stuff. They're just not. And that's unfortunate, but here's the reality. People are going to school. Kids are going to school. College kids are going back. USC's moving in like right now. So you have people doing other things. Football starting back. Soccer/football overseas, right? Tonight, by the way, I'm wearing Wrexham, which is the brand new Ryan Reynolds reality show. Welcome to Wrexham. I can't wait to watch it. When you have all these things going on that detract from the attention at the cinema, the studios say, why bother? Let's just throw things like Beast out there that are forgettable and are just a way to buy the time. This is a film that's going to open with, like, what do you think? 10 million at best case scenario here, probably under, because the reviews are going to be middling. I mean, if you recommend this film and say you must go see this film, you have to question the reviewer's capability of judging a film. I mean, it's just very forgettable across the board. As much as I love Idris Elba's like a god to me, but in this case, I don't even think this is his best stuff. It's just, again, one thing, lions attacking family for 93 minutes that felt like easy, almost 2 hours. It was the longest 93-minute film that I've sat through that I can remember recently. So it's just one of those films that you just frankly can skip. There's really no reason to see it. Gone Girl, listen, I maybe you go see it tomorrow. I'm just telling you to have your expectations low. Not that you already didn't, but just take them even a little bit lower. Because I heard initially that there were people out there saying, Beast, oh my God, these initial reactions. What do I always tell you guys about initial reactions? The studios pack the screenings with people that are going to be very light and very easy and play up the positives of the film, because that way they get access early. Okay. And remember this. And I've said this before, and I'm saying it tonight. And if he has a problem with this, then so be it. I'm not going to say the name. I'm just going to tell you exactly who I'm talking about. When you work for Fandango, you are not a film critic. Think about it for a second. You can't be, because your job working at Fandango is to drive butts to seats. So if that's your job, you can't say a movie's bad, because then you're going against your job description, which is to get butts in seats. So anyone that works at Fandango, and I know there's one person here that I've talked to, and I respect what they do, but as a film critic, you can't trust them. You guys know I'm right, because you can't, right? It's you can't trust a valuation of a film based on someone who is paid by people buying tickets to go to movies, right? Hit me in the comments and tell me I'm not 1000% correct right there. So that's the issue, is that when you find voices, you've got to really look at the person and do your due diligence and say, wait a second, what's the aim here? Is this person working for a publication or for an outlet that is going to benefit from positive reaction? You guys know, listen, you know how much I savage this movie here. Okay. It's time to grab the Gray Man box. You guys know that when I go after a film as hard as I did The Gray Man, and you know I do not like this film, okay? I think it's one of the worst edited films in the history of cinema. When you do that, hopefully you guys know that it's a very unbiased opinion. I have nothing to gain or lose by trashing this film. But the point is that you got to find those voices that do that, okay? And Ghost and the Darkness ripoff, not as good as that film, but yes, very similar. I think it's based on a novel, if I'm not mistaken. This film was based on a novel, which I hope wasn't a bestseller, because it's really not that engaging. And again, it's not necessarily Idris's fault. It's not necessarily the director's fault, although I'm going to blame him more here because of what I said, doing those one take faux oneers that detract from the film. The score by Stephen Price, who I like. I think Stephen Price has talent. Not good here. It's just too much. There's too much score. It's overscored. I want to see a film that is lower in the score, that is more interesting, and it's neither of those things. It's score up and it's score boring, and those are detractors of the film too. So it's just one of these things that is just not going to do much for you. I promise you. There's no way you're going to get back to me when you see this film and say, "Oh yeah, Beast is great." It's just not. Not slow in the theatrical world yet. We have a Wednesday stream. Listen, but we're not going to do one tomorrow. I mean, what are we going to talk about at this point? Literally, I just went to Variety and I was looking around like, what else can we talk about tonight other than Beast? And they're literally talking about the Emmys. They're talking about things that, ready or not, here comes Web 3. What else is here? Let's pull it up. There's just nothing. Even they have nothing to talk about because we are waiting for Toronto, for Venice, for Telluride, for these awards films to come in. And until those come in, we are going to sit here and go, I mean, look, here's Variety. There's just nothing major happening right now. Why? Fox is investing millions in NFTs and blockchain technology. Let's get into that. Boy, that's scintillating stuff there. That's what we're dealing with. I do like this article here, though. I will say this, and we can talk about that in the comments. We can do that. Clayton Davis, fellow member of Critics' Choice, works at Variety's the awards person there. How India's epic RRR could bring the country's first Oscar nom in 21 years. We talked about that. If India wants to make a play for Oscar, that's the one. But I mean, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for things to talk about beyond Beast, which ultimately is a 10 million and under film that not many people are all that excited about, nor should you be. House on Haunted Hill, is that another August release? I mean, these films are all going to be these forgettable August films, with the exception of a few. And I mentioned Free Guy and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are two rare exceptions, but again, I'd argue the studios didn't know. They thought that they would both be like mid-August films. They turned out to be good quality films. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best MCU films, period. So when you have that, you have something to work with. With Beast, you have a film that is going to be forgotten, in a week. It's just really that kind of thing. And it also reminds me of this. This banner was from last Sunday. You need to go see Emily the Criminal. If you're going to go to a theater this weekend and you have not yet seen Emily the Criminal, you need to place Emily the Criminal way above Beast, okay? I would actually put, no question, Fall above Beast, okay? I'd go Emily the Criminal, I'd go Fall, and then I'd go Beast below. If you're going to stack them in order of what you should be seeing at the theater right now, Beast is the third best film out there because Fall, at least, is fun. Beast is not that much fun, and the characters do dumb things. The girls, I'd argue, on top of the tower in Fall do more realistic things, and that's the funny part. If you see Fall, at this point you're like, what are you talking about? Because they do absurd things, but the people and the characters in Beast do even stupider things, and you go, man, why? There's a point. I'm not ruining Beast. I'm just going to tell you the absurdity of this, where Idris Elba's in a tree, okay, and the lion's below, and here comes the CGI snake to bite Idris Elba. As it comes at him and lunges, he grabs the snake and throws it on the lion. I mean, come on. My eyes were like boom, 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 rolling around. Wow, that is certainly a choice. It's just the opposite of what I love in a movie like Emily the Criminal. It's grounded. I love my grounded films. This is absolutely not. So many critics are tainted from other interests. Thank you, Stephen. By the way, welcome to the channel. Listen, I mean this, is that I have no problem calling out people who want to be critics who aren't really. And also, I said this the other night sorry, this is the truth. You guys watch American Idol. People come on to American Idol and they say, hey, I'm going to be the next big singer. And then you hear them sing and you're like, oh man, who told you could sing? Okay. Reality is that ultimately you can want to be a film person, but you still have to have the talent to do it, okay? And it takes time. You can't do it after one film, two films. I've said this so many times here on MMT. We're doing it again. Is that it takes time to develop your cinematic taste and to identify things in films that work and or do not work, and being able to put a finger precisely on those things. Like, I bet you're not going to read a whole lot of reviews that even mention that director here is trying to do oneers throughout the entire film. One take, faux one takes throughout the whole thing. It's littered throughout the film, and it detracts from the film. These are things that I have a feeling a lot of critics would just miss. They're not paying that close attention to. I was born with some kind of gene that's hypersensitive, and that's a good thing if you want to be a film evaluator slash critic. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, you guys have to know that you just want to find voices that are authentic. Authentic is number one thing that you're looking for. Aaliyah, no stream tomorrow. No, because here's the thing: we're doing it tonight. I mean, ultimately, we could have done this tomorrow and talked about Beast and talked about box office. Nothing's going to change, and we can talk about Ezra Miller as well tonight if you want. I mean, he issued the apology. I don't think there's really much to say there. We already know that Ezra Miller's not going to be part of the press tour. So I'm glad to see that at least he is issuing a statement saying, I want to do better and I want to get things correct, because we know that he needs help. Okay, so at least he admits that. It's the first step. The first step to help is admitting it. Gavin, good evening to you. Fall was a total blast, wasn't it? Tension-filled and thrilling and ridiculous. You forgot ridiculous and absurd and laughable. And the Vulture scene is will be my favorite scene of the year, one of them, from my reaction in the theater of screaming, oh my God, you went there. That's why it's fun. No, Fall is way more fun than Beast, okay? So again, Emily the Criminal, Fall, Beast. That's the order of what's going on right now. And if you do that, you're gonna be good. You'll be doing better than most people. Jennifer, good evening to you. I won't bother seeing Beast. I wonder if Stallone's new movie's any good. Samaritan. I got to track that down and see if they're having a screening. Otherwise, I'll just see it down the street at Burbank when it opens next Thursday. Again, I can answer the question right now. It's mid-August, so they're not going to give you good films. Studios know mid-August is the wasteland. They always are going to put dump films that are not going to be great. And there's a few exceptions, Guardian of the Galaxy and Free Guy. Beyond that, feel free to come up with others. It's very hard. You're going to come up with a bunch of films in August that you don't even remember. Like Beast, you won't remember in like a week. I mean, I'm not going to remember it probably tomorrow morning when I wake up. I mean, that's how forgettable this film is. Todd, good evening to you. Do you think that Dragon Ball Z will manage the number one spot? Yes, because I think Beast is 10. And I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z person. I don't know. I understand it's a big thing. So as such, understanding that it's going to appeal to a segment of the population that's not me, but a big, sizable enough portion of the audience, I think that it will be number one with, let's say, 15, which would be a great number, 15 million for that. Beast would be like sub 10, and then everything else under that. Top Gun Maverick will be up there again because it just keeps holding. They're giving it a few IMAX screenings. I think maybe some Dolby, some 4DXs. They should really, at this time of year, there's no reason to have one film in IMAX the entire day, right? Like when it's a big Marvel movie, you want that in the IMAX house the whole day. But at this point, I think we're better off if you have the premium screens to be like Top Gun at 2, Beast at 4, Dragon Ball Z at 6, and then whatever else at 8, bring it back to whatever one's doing the best. So you have flexibility in that because that's your premium screen. So you want to put your best selling and most desired film there. And this time of year, you have a bunch of stuff that's really not all that exciting. So why not just divvy it up? I think and that makes sense, doesn't it? Movies that are oneers should use it for a purpose and not just for style. Thank you. Exactly. La La Land and The Revenant use scenes that are really long takes. Yes, but the entire film's not like that. One of my main problems with Roma, one of the films hanging behind me on the FYC wall, is that when you watch Roma, you are watching a director who is showing you extended takes over and over and over to the point where it feels manufactured rather than lived in. And that's how Beast feels. You start to go, this is a director trying to be showy, and instead a more traditional approach might have been better. And while I like a lot of the long takes in Roma, the whole film doesn't have to be that, right? And that's what Beast is. It's one thing to have a oneer, and that's what we'll call it, the oneer. One take, long take, go back to obviously PTA, that kind of thing. But in this case, it's faux because you're looking for the edit point. And then it detracts because that is throughout the film where you might be, and you actually would be, better serviced by having a more traditional edited film. When I watch Emily the Criminal and I see John Patton Ford, I don't see any of those tricks. I see a guy who is editing really slick stuff. Not one really long take. I mean, sure, some longer things, but it's not like he's forcing it. And I think that's what I really love about Emily the Criminal is the direction, and especially the editing is seamless. Okay, that's how I want a film to look and feel. So yes, exactly right. It takes you out of the film, and I think that's an issue. Am I big on physical media? Only the films behind me. I mean, but I told you guys these things are empty. If I put them up here with the actual DVDs, they'd start falling down. So I'm not really big on physical media. I used to be. I used to be a record collector, CD collector, and DVD. I think at this point, I'm lucky enough to have these. Okay, so if there's a film that I love, the chances are I have an FYC of it. So behind me are the boxes. The DVDs are actually right over here. I have them literally stacked up because I took them all out. But so that's kind of my thing. So that's why I love showing these off, because ultimately this allows you guys to see some of these things that you can't buy. These are FYCs sent from the studios. So they're promotional items, right? So you can't go out and buy the promotional, the Dune DVD, FYC DVD. So hopefully we can't, they're going to be coming in soon. I told you guys I already got a few this year. These just showed up. These are the Sony Pictures Classics. Now, SPC, Sony Pictures Classic, almost always does just a basic, this is it, right? There's no cover to that. It's just a white sleeve because they don't really have anything. Then, of course, they give you like an insert that just basically tells you what's in the movie and all these things. Okay, but when we start getting the good stuff, like I can't wait until they send me an Elvis, a Top Gun Maverick, an X when A24 comes in. You kidding me? I'm going to litter this wall with that. We got to get some new films up there. So I'm hoping, even though the studio said they're going to cut back on that this year because they really want to have streaming instead of these things. But ultimately, you know why they send these out? Is not because people actually put them in their DVD player, because they're not even Blu-rays, they're DVDs. It's because they want people to tangibly hold a copy of Ghost Story, Star is Born, Rocket Man, Get Out, Summer of Soul. They want you to hold it, and then you go, oh, you know what? I think I'll go watch Summer of Soul. Maybe you hit the link, maybe you throw it in your DVD, but these aren't even Blu-rays. So it's really just about the tangibility of these things. That's why they send them out. The reaction to the Vulture Scene was pure gold. Listen, that's real. That's what I do. I laugh. I wish I could have said that I did the same thing tonight at Beast. I groaned, audibly groaning. Is that the same? No, because Fall, when the Vulture Scene happens, you are losing it. Like, there's no way not to lose it. And then I could tell the whole crowd was going there. So it's really fun when everybody's on the same page. I heard that, didn't you say, Gone Girl, you saw it like on Saturday and people weren't doing that? Like, what? How are you not doing that? The Vulture Scene is over the top. You have to go ape shit when that happens. I think Warner Brothers is helping for an RDJ situation with Ezra. Here's the problem, is that RDJ had time between when his shit happened and Iron Man. It wasn't all happening at the same time. I've got to go back and look at the timeline, but there were years, okay? Ezra's not having years. He's having months. And at this point, even if he gets himself and we think Ezra's good, I still can't trust him. I have to. It's going to take time, and they're not going to use him again for Flash. He's too much of a wild card. No matter if he gets clean or not, like RDJ did. But what is it all about? It's about time. So Ezra has to be clean, and actually, that just means stay out of trouble. He has to be trouble free for a long period of time. And that's not going to be. There's not enough time between now and Flash to say we're good with that. Ezra, you're in. Right? You guys feel me? I mean, that just makes sense to me right now. Today is Robert De Niro's birthday, Nick, is it? Top 5 De Niro for you. Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Godfather Part 2, Meet the Parents, Silver Linings Playbook, Joker. You have to put Heat in there. Okay, Nick, you have to put Heat in. There's no question that Heat with Pacino and with De Niro. I love Heat. I love Michael Mann. I cannot wait for Heat 2. In Collateral, Michael Mann needs to have. Thank God he's making Heat 2. I will be the first one. I will be pounding on Warner Brothers studio door saying, let me see Heat 2 when that thing is complete. But De Niro and Heat has to be in there. But the rest of them I'm good with. Meet the Parents for the comedic value, right? But everything else makes sense. Taxi Driver for sure. Absolutely. All those are good. Except for you gotta put Heat in there. Everett, how do you feel about Pearl's release date? Pearl's release date is what, the 17th of September? I believe something like mid-September, right? And Barbarian's like the 9th. So is it the weekend after? Barbarian was supposed to be out right about now. It was like a mid-August film. Then they started getting word that the audiences like this film, and I think you will. I want to talk about the film, but remember, my issues with the film are going to be very specific to the screenplay. So I can't talk about it until you see it. So when you see Barbarian, we'll have the discussion. But Barbarian was supposed to be an August film. They moved it to September because they said this film's good. Audiences are going to like it. Let's get it all by itself on the 9th of September because that's a weekend with nothing else. That's good. Like Beast this weekend, the benefit it has, other than Dragon Ball Z, okay? Dragon Ball Z is there, but I'm saying as far as a mainstream kind of film, you've got Beast sitting there by itself, and that's what they want to do with Barbarian, so we'll see. I think Pearl, it's A24, so ultimately it'll probably do well because A24 always draws, except for Bodies, 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 which is not doing much because it's not good. If you guys have seen it, please tell me I'm right. It's not good. But A24 is a brand that people go to see. And X is a film that a lot of people love, like myself. So I can't wait to see Pearl. But I think the release date is a little bit troublesome because you are on the backside of Barbarian. Remember, we always talk about this. You don't want to have a similar film that is in the wake of, let's say, like a horror and then another horror film back to back, or even within the wake. You want to be the first to market, right? You always want to be the first to market. That way, you have the lead. People come to see you, and then they don't go to the movie theater after that because we talk about it all the time here on MMT. Not everybody goes to the movies every week or twice a week or 3 times a week like me, like you. They go once every month. So maybe they see Barbarian, then they skip Pearl. So yeah, that's an interesting question. I think that maybe they should squeeze Pearl to October, but then you're getting into Halloween Kills, and I know there's something else horror there. Salem's Lot's there, but I'm hearing Salem's Lot not good. That's what I'm hearing. The crowd at the watch party was like a 6 or 7 during the scene. Man, I was an 11 during fall. We're talking about me during fall. If they could have sold my reaction live, remember how they used to stick the camera in there and film people's faces? They would have used me in the commercial throughout. Like this guy's like jumping around his seat and screaming over fall because of the absurdities that happen in that film. So that is absolutely true. I was an 11 that night, and I might have to see it again. Yeah, that's the rumor. The rumor is they're making Heat 2, Gone Girl, because yeah, Heat's great. I mean, Heat's a classic film. It's a 3-hour film that it does not feel like that. And you look at how many other films have aped that. What was that? Den of Thieves? Remember that? That was total Heat ripoff. I just saw a film recently, the same. Oh, Ambulance, Heat ripoff. There's so many films that just say we're going to take Heat and remix it, right? Heat is a classic film. And you have so many performances through that film, but really, at the end of the day, Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, you have Ashley Judd. You've got the film is just littered with great performances. What an amazing film that is. I love it. Absolutely. Back to Ezra, Jennifer. I agree with you about Ezra. I wouldn't trust him. I love the movie Heat. Yeah, 100%. You love Heat and you wouldn't trust Ezra. I think that's fair, you guys. I mean, the funny thing is, listen, we have these discussions all the time, and it's rare that you ever go, you're 100% wrong, Eric, right? Is that true? Think about that. How many times have you said, that's 100% incorrect on the take? Everything from tonight, the Fandango thing we just talked about. These are, because that's what I think about what I'm going to say. And I say, this is based in fact or reality or truth. And that's what we go with. Now, subjectively, we can disagree 100% on things like Thor, Love and Thunder. I think it's entertaining as hell. A lot of you didn't. You thought it was too jokey, too comical, not as serious as you wanted from an MCU film. Fine. I, for the exact opposite reasons, liked it because it is funny, goofy, ridiculous, not heavy feeling in stakes, and I had a really good time at it. So, but we can agree there. I understand how you feel, and I think you understand how I feel. It's when you come out with a take and like someone says Beast is like 9 out of 10, a gripping thriller that will have you literally clutching your fist the entire time going, are they going to get out of this alive? Then you're like, what the hell are we doing here? No, and no. I just looked into it. RDJ had Prison in 2001, Iron Man casting 2006. So 5 years. That's what we talk about. Time. Ezra Miller doesn't have 5 years. He has less than a year. And that's not enough time to trust Ezra. Ezra will not be trusted by Warner Brothers no matter what he does here. So Ezra's redemption can start now, but it's not going to finish by The Flash. It's going to finish beyond that in years from now. So good to see Ezra. taking the steps he needs to take. First thing, admitting he has a problem, which he should have done a while ago. I think we can agree on that. And then actually follow through, do the therapy, do what you need to do to get right so that you can come back and be the badass actor that you were. That is Ezra's plan. That's what I'm telling him as his agent, as his manager, exactly what I just told you. I think that's straightforward. Everett again. Salem's Lot moved to, it did. It moved to April. Okay. So we have Smile September 30th. So we have a bunch of horror coming up, right? We've got Barbarian, Pearl, Smile, and then we have Halloween Kills. It's going to be a good run. I think all of those films, you're going to like Barbarian. I know you will. I think you're going to like it, but there's a major problem with the film, and I need to discuss it with you, but I can't. It's like, I want to have this discussion. So, like, when you see Barbarian, we are going to go, you need to see it because we're going to have a full-on spoiler discussion about my issues with the film. And I think when I tell you what it is, you're going to, if you didn't see it, you're going to see it, and then you're going to go, whoa, okay? But I can't have that discussion tonight. I want to. Your homework is to see Barbarian the second it comes out so we can have that discussion. I want to have it. Smile is going to be good. And here's why I'm very confident in that. Paramount has been promoting it very early. They know it's good. They've seen it. They obviously have seen the film. They're ready to go with it. The marketing, everything's gone. The trailer looks good. The direction looks solid. That teaser trailer really got some interest ahead of Maverick. You got to remember all of those impressions when people went to see Maverick on Smile during Maverick. Think about all the eyes that saw Smile that would never have seen it had not been for a Paramount movie, Maverick, Smile. That is what you're looking for when you're looking for a film to outperform. It's things like that people aren't even going to talk about. See, that's why you guys watch MMT, because I literally just told you exactly how it's going to go, and then all of a sudden you go, my God, that's right. They're both Paramount films, and everyone saw the trailer during Top Gun Maverick. That means it'll outperform. Smile will outperform. Barbarian will outperform. Pearl, I'm not so sure about. I mean, X wasn't like this huge performing film. So I think that we are, I also am a little curious about having the sequel within the course of about 6, 7, 8 months, if even less than that. Was X March? Okay, so let's call it 6 months. I think 2 films in 6 months, I don't know if I would have done that. I wonder what A24 was thinking. I would have held off on Pearl until 1 year. So X was out, let's say it was March. I believe it was March. March of 2023 is when Pearl comes out. Sometimes I really feel like I should be a scheduler for these studios. Like, no, that's a good weekend, that's not. But I think that Disney got Barbarian right. So they got the scheduling right on that. 100%. Scavenger, hey, Erick, I go to press screenings a lot. They always ask me for a review after seeing the movie early. Same for you, not trying to complain. So listen, here's the reality, is that you know what moves the needle now more than anything, Scavenger? It is absolutely social media. So if you have a social media following and people listen to you on social media and your reviews, because technically that's all people are looking at now. I mean, the truth of it is that a long form review, like 400, 500 words, people don't really read. Okay. I've got a bunch posted on Rotten Tomatoes from years. I used to write tons on there, over 150 reviews. Here's the problem, is that the only thing that people look at in Rotten Tomatoes, when you look at the clicks, largely, guess what they look at? The blurb. What is a blurb? A tweet. So studios are now very much aware that the needle is moved by Twitter reaction more than anything. So if you have a following on Twitter, you're going to get, if I'm a studio, I can tell you this, I'm going to give you more play in your situation if you have a following on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, a big following that people listen to, because that's going to move the needle. Now, conversely, if you trash a film like I have been known to do, studios don't love that. So if you want to stay on the good side of studios, you got to say good things. But then again, are you a critic at that point? No, you work for Fandango. I couldn't. But listen, someone tell me I'm wrong about what I just said earlier about Fandango. Okay, one more time. If you work for Fandango, you can't be a film critic. Why? Because your job is to put butts in seats. And if you say a movie's bad, you're removing butts from seats. Therefore, you can't be a film critic and work at Fandango. Tell me I'm wrong. Come on, someone in the comments, come to me right now. Come at me, and tell me I'm 100% wrong and tell me why. No, you won't. You're going to say I'm 100% right. Give me a like if I'm 100% right. Give me a like right now if I just said, you cannot be a film critic and work for Fandango. You can't. There's no chance. Right? All right, Kevin. Barbarians, 32, 35. That's a really high number. Kevin, first of all, love you. Love that you're here on MMT all the time. Very much appreciated. But your numbers are crazy. I mean, your numbers are so high. Barbarian at 30 to 35 would be insane. Okay. I think a 15 is a good number here. Okay. 30 to 35 would be like bonkers. Like Fox, Disney would be like, oh my God, we just hit literally the lottery. We just won jackpot at Vegas. $10 million spin the wheel. But that's too high. Okay. 15, 20, that's pushing. I think anything north of 10 is good. 15 or higher is even better. That's too high. Woman King at 2025, I'd even take that down. I'm going to push that down. I'm going to push that to 15 to 20 max. Halloween Ends, higher. 50 higher. You know why? You're thinking, you got to remember, this is very important, Kevin, very important you know this. Last year, Halloween Kills was day date with Peacock, and it's still open in the 40s, right? Remember the first Halloween opened at like 80 with no at home, right? It was only theatrical before we had COVID. That's how this is going to go with Halloween Ends. It's only going to be in theaters. So take that 50 and I would say push it to 90, push it to 100. I'm not kidding around. Halloween Ends could be $100 million opening. And you heard it here 2 months out. If it happens, you heard it here first on MMT. $100 million opening could happen with this film because it's theatrical only and people are ready. And it's also the end. Look, quote, end. Black Adam 65 to 70. I think that is a little bit low too. Black Adam's going to depend on the reviews and word of mouth. I think initially the hardcore fans will see it. So you're looking at something like you have here, which is very much like Shang-Chi, okay, with an opening like that. But you have The Rock, and if the movie gets really good reviews, theatrical's back. We know that, and there's going to be a big wasteland of stuff between now and Black Adam and Halloween Kills that's going to drive that number so much higher because people are ready to come back and they want to see a movie. So Black Panther 2 is going to do really well because it's had time. Halloween Ends and Black Adam, assuming it's a good film, will pop. All three are going to do better than expected because there's nothing in theaters right now, things like Beast, that you will not remember 5 minutes after you walk out. But if they accept tweets that change everything for me, listen, Scavenger, ultimately it's this. It's a process that takes time. Okay. So when I first moved out here to LA, 5, 6, 7 years ago, however long it's been now, is that it takes time to build yourself up to get onto the press list. But once you get to a certain level and people know who you are through relationships, then it's pretty easy to access. Like now I can send an email to any one of the studios and get a response pretty quickly. I mean, within a few hours and then pretty much getting taken care of. But that takes time, right? So again, remember when you get into film criticism, evaluation, whatever you want to call it, it's a long process and you are going to benefit from doing it over time and being consistent and being reliable. Ultimately, you need to be reliable to the people who are your audience because you're not writing reviews for the studios. I hope not. You're not writing reviews for your friends. You're hoping to find an audience of people who trust what you say about films because they know you're authentic and you don't have a dog in the fight. You are just going in and you're saying this movie's good or bad based on these things, this criteria of what makes a good film. And obviously genre plays into that. But ultimately, like let's say, like a film like Fall, okay, not an awards film. I'm going to evaluate that film totally differently than I'm going to evaluate Don't Worry, Darling, or, White Noise, the big Netflix Noah Baumbach movie. That's a different evaluation, right? So you have to know what is the film, what's it trying to do, and then that's where you go. So Beast is trying to be a thriller that is not all that thrilling. So there you go. So I know what it's trying to do, and it's not that great. Now, Fall, conversely, is a thriller, and it works way better than Beast, like immeasurably better. So yeah, absolutely, anytime. Gone Girl, Halloween Ends could get to 100 million if the movie is great. Agreed. All of these things are always about word of mouth / reviews. Okay, so look at Maverick. So when I came on here and saw Maverick, a week and a half before it opened, I told you guys everyone's going to love the film, right? This is going to be a big film. Everyone's going to love it, and boom, bang, there it is. So that is very important to film. Top Gun Maverick would not be sitting at almost $1.4 billion right now if it weren't a great film. Not just a good film, a great film. So ultimately, word of mouth equals quality, and that's what is going to win you money in the long end. So I think that you're 100% right. If Halloween Ends is truly the end, okay, that's important too, right? If it's truly the end, which we know it's not going to be, let's just say somehow it ends up to feel like it's the end. That'll help too, because people are like, it's over. You have to see the ending. I think one of the things that's an issue is every time that you think it's over, it's like Michael Myers lived. He survived, and he's in the basement, and he's going to come out, like that whole thing about him being not burned up in the basement and then grabbing I mean, it's so ridiculous at this point. I think it loses any credibility, like at the end of the film, where they're all like beating the hell out of Michael, and then of course all of a sudden he has a second win and he kills all of them. And like, oh god, at some point, he's Superman, a murderous Superman. I mean, that's what you're getting with Michael Myers. That's why I think it's kind of lost that. So let's hope that Halloween Ends is the end, because I think at some point you have to just say it's over. Okay, I know it's making you money, but ultimately you have to say, yeah, it doesn't really matter. We're done. It's over, right? So my drink just fell off the table. That's the thing, is just because you artistically, you have to look at it artistically. For me, I think ultimately, if a movie's going to be a huge hit, you still have to say, is there a reason to make a sequel? And I know studios don't usually do that, right? They just say, oh, the movie made a ton of money, let's make a sequel because we need to, because we can make a ton of money at it. And that's fine. But if that's your motivation, then your quality of product, it might be lessened. A lot of times it is. Most sequels are not as good as the first, right? The studios, until Halloween Ends, seem to have their fingers crossed with re-releases, E.T., Jaws, Rogue One, No Way Home, because there's nothing. They're filling the void. So I give them credit. Avatar, all of them back in IMAX. I saw E.T. the other day. It's fine. It's dated, no question. The effects in E.T. Do not live up to now 40 years on. They look dated. But I think the film heart, obviously the heart of the film is still there. But that's what these studios, thank God, are doing. They're like saying, let's put E.T. in IMAX. Let's put Jaws in IMAX. Let's put Rogue One. Let's get people back into the theater to look at these films that they haven't seen on the big screen in a number of years. In some cases, 20 plus years. And then you're going to get some butts in the seats. Because, the audience for Beast is small. I mean, the audience for Beast is like this tiny little portion of the pie. It's an August movie. Idris Elba is not, he's a star, but he's not like, a huge draw where he's not Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. So this is like a $10 million film, I think, on a good day. All right, a few more minutes and we're going to cut. We're going to stop a little short. Let's go 5-minute warning here. 5-minute warning on a Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Sunday. No show tomorrow. Well, I mean, come on, really. The MMT we got, it's like the void. We have entered the void of August. Better Oscar potential, Avatar: Way of Water or Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, because you had the original with all that Oscar success. And I understand Avatar had the success as well, but I'm just telling you, if you ask me which one's going to get more nominations, I'm going to go with Black Panther, because you got costume right off the bat. Avatar does not have costume. You have effects for Black Panther, which will tie Avatar, right? Production design for Black Panther, maybe for Avatar. That's production design. Maybe a performance. Let's go Angela Bassett. That's 4. See, I'm already ahead. So right now, yes, I would go Black Panther has better Oscar potential, because the first had potential. It's Ryan Coogler. The film looks very artistic, just like we'd expect from Coogler, and it had success the first time. I understand Avatar did too, but we need to remember that Black Panther is really one of those films that popped, that had huge Oscar success that a lot of people didn't think would happen. Once you break through, the second one's going to have a better chance at it. So I think that's the best case scenario. But that said, I mean, listen, Avatar 2, Way of Water is going to be a successful film when it comes to awards for visual effects, possibly director for Cameron, maybe picture. We'll see. We have to see the quality. Quality also is ultimately what's going to be the answer to this thing. All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it here tonight on this Wednesday night. Back here on Sunday. Sunday night, we will talk about box office, Beast, whatever else you want to think of. Let's do it, because we are running out of things to talk about here in August. But we are going to start picking up the pace as these award films drop at Venice, at Telluride, at Toronto. When we start seeing these films and getting a better handle of the awards landscape, we can talk about things from now until the end of the year. But right now, it's just the dead zone. And I would recommend one more time as you go into the weekend. Number 1, go see Emily the Criminal. Number 2, go see Fall. Number 3, pass on Beast. I mean, if you go, you need to see the other two first. No question about it. You cannot see Beast over those other two, not based on what I just saw. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, the long weekend, until I see you on Sunday night. MMT is out.